So before I go out in the sunshine and enjoy the lovely weather we're having, we'll have a little talk while I roll me cancer. Uh, there's a bench outside that says "fuck the system." Hey, I couldn't agree more. Um, what was I going to talk about? First things that comes to mind. I did actually have something in mind to talk about, but nevertheless, you've got to wing it, haven't you? Like, life's unpredictable in it, so you've got to be good at improvising. No matter how much planning you do, reality will always present something that you did not anticipate. So, the intuitive awareness to be able to think on your feet is the most important thing when it comes to intelligence. Otherwise, you the plan, like, there's always a fucking her in the soup and the I mean, when I used to go to school, uh, I couldn't be fucking arsed with homework and revision. I mean, like, they don't. There's no system in which they sit there and have the respect to ask you, like, what are you actually interested in? Who are you? What makes you great? They don't. There's no method of actually, like, seeking that gift that's in us all. That in which must be nurtured and fed in order to let us become who we are, because the system is based on the lack of faith idea that people need to be filling all these roles. But trust nature. Like, if there's a role to be filled, you better believe out of 8 billion of us that there's somebody who's willing to do it. Only if the system worked in a way where it's based on choice of what you choose to learn, then whatever you choose to learn has a higher probability of you actually being committed and it being worthwhile. Because, school curriculum, I forgot most of it. Like, it's not important. Like, fair enough, some of it's like valuable problem solving skills, learning grammar. I can understand the necessity of some of it. However, if you think that it's all you need to know all of that, then you're kidding yourself. It's all just about conformity. And it like, if I have kids, if anything, I want to teach them because I trust my own ability to do that. I can do a better job than the schools. I know it's the truth. So if I like when I have a child, um, I don't want them to go to school. And if anything, I'll tell them just fucking, like, not necessarily be mischievous and fucking but like somebody's got to say something because it's bullshit. Learning is brilliant, right? Learning's what life's all about. But it's the same human arrogance and lack of questions that lead to just a stagnation and no improvement whatsoever. Like, it's the same with everything: politics, religion, education, all of it. The only systems that work are the systems that aren't arrogant enough to assume that they're already perfect and are adaptable based on new things that make sense. Not to say that it's easily corrupted, but it's like the system and all the people and perceptions that amalgamate that system become more competent at sensing what actually makes sense. Sensing the truth is like a muscle, and if you ask the right questions, um, like some people say, "Oh, well, if you search your mind and look within, you're answering your own questions." And to be fair, it can be very confusing, and you can become delusional, and bad things can happen. However, life is about taking risks. You ever seen that scene of Star Trek where Captain Kirk's like, risk. That's why we're aboard her. Like, you know what I mean? Why all the greatest fucking stories, all the greatest people, all the greatest fucking questions have involved a certain degree of risk. And if somebody stumbles and falls, we need to have the compassion to be able to see he needs help. She needs help. Understand? If there's enough people telling you sense, if you've got any sense about you and you're delusional, you'll start listening. But that doesn't happen. So me myself, I had to figure it out on my own. And I have figured it out. That's not to say that I won't encounter delusion again. And that's not to say I'm not in any way delusional now. But then, I say this again. What is delusion? It's an absence of truth that basically sabotages your relationship with reality. A misconception. So, you're telling me that you know the absolute truth. That's delusional, mate. I think you need to get your head examined. The funny thing is as fucking unhinged and like weird as some of the behaviour is of the people in the loony bin, any sort of mental health service institution, you can understand why they're in there. But a lot of the things that they're talking about and a lot of their expressions are actually like, it makes a lot more sense. Do you know what I mean? There was one guy that, he was really funny actually, but he used to burn my head out after a bit because they put me on that injection and fucking hell, like, I just couldn't be arsed. And he harboured a resentment for somebody bullied him and that, and it had clearly affected his sense of well-being and all that. So he just used to fucking go around like, dumb lad, I'm going to destroy you, lad. Like, started kicking this door. If you're out there, man, I love you. You were the entertainment. But all jokes aside, like, the guy needed help. And, you know, I was too out of me fucking... I was like, look, you can't expect them to immediately listen to you, but why would you give up on him? Because the guy's been abused, for fuck's sake. And if you don't think that's played a contributing factor to that mental state that he was in there, then you're kidding yourself. So, but people don't care, do they? They don't care. Another thing, right? Discrimination. Now, I'm not a very sensitive person about this kind of thing. I don't really give a shit. But I've been called, at some point, like, daywalker, ginger. And just because this is a character trait. Now, whether my skin's black, I've got Chinese-looking eyes, or whatever. You know what I mean? What's the difference? We're all the fucking same. So just because society's like put a certain character trait on a pedestal for something that happened in the past, which was awful, by the way. I don't agree with slavery. That doesn't mean that, like, you know, that guy iDubbbz, which has amounted to a bit of a twat now, but fucking... He made the point, like, about, I'm going to say this now, and let's make this clear, right? I'm not racist. I love black people, right? It's about the intention. Watch the Big Les show and you'll know what I'm talking about. Wow, the big word's going to come out. The word nigger, right? Yeah? Somebody calls me a ginger. Nobody gives a shit. Somebody calls an Englishman a limey. Nobody gives a shit. Somebody calls a Chinese bloke a zipper head. Nobody gives a shit. But that big word, wow. Do you know what I mean? I mean, why the intention, right? Why do you think that black friends call each other that word? Because it's funny. Calling somebody a cunt and meaning it as a form of endearment is actually more endearing than saying like you're an angel or something. Like, do you know what I mean? You fucking can't. Like, that's better if you ask me. But if you really mean it, it's like you fucking little repulsive twat sort of thing. Um, it's all about the expression. I'm sure the leftists will disagree, and don't get me wrong, left, right, what a fucking ridiculous, like, what's this one-dimensional, like, way of looking at politics? And politics, by the way, don't even get me started on that. I even want to talk about it. It's so boring. What's happened in the Oval Office today? Nigel Farage just took on the Mexican border and put a lot of gold over it. Wow. In other news, fuck all's happened in the Houses of Parliament, and Iggle Piggles took this chair. Fucking, I don't know. Iggle Piggles become the supreme leader. He said. And he's starting to recruit the children to the army. Nobody agrees with it, but we don't have the courage to take him on because he'll execute us. Oh. And some people, oh, here comes the joke, please. You know what I mean? Wow. Like, fucking hell, dude, you need to lighten up. Fucking bellends, man. It's not right. If that's you and you're offended by anything I've just said, that isn't my problem, it's yours. So how about you stop making it everybody else's problem? Because nothing I've said was intended to offend anybody. The only thing that I said that I will now reiterate and paraphrase is, "You repulsive fucking twat!" Why can't you take a joke? So yeah, if that's you, I'm talking to you, actually. Everybody else, hey man. You know, look, right, when it comes to transgender people, why should I have and all these LGBT dudes like right? So you're telling me that I have to learn a load of new words just because you tell me, and that I have to address you as things despite the actual obvious reality of duality in male and female. Also, you're just making up genders. It's the same. You're playing God, mate. God don't like it. It's delusion. Why am I the one in the loony bin? And you know, if you want to be a woman and you're a man, or vice versa, I can empathise with that. I wouldn't mind being a woman. I like being a man, but I'd give it a go. I'm not a big fan of the idea of pushing a kid out, but you know what I mean. I'm sure it comes with its pros. Um, the thing is, though, is you were born male. All right. You can say, well, oh well, I'm free to choose what I want. I identify as a wasp. Like, you know what I mean? All right. So everybody has to address you as wasp. Well, this is what I say to you. I identify as a fucking alien that is your Lord and Savior. So you better address me as that because I said. Right. So if Stalin returned from the dead and started saying, "You all have to address me as a loving father," you know, do you think would you be happy with it? Fucking hell. the point is you can't always get what you think you want. And if you think that, you know, cutting your genitalia off and morphing it into like humanity's version of whatever, like you think that the neurology or whatever I'm getting it's too complex. And the point is that isn't right. That's not healthy, and I don't think that's going to make anybody happy. That's my opinion. Um, and as well, you have to rely on hormones that are synthetic from that are provided from the state. What if that stops happening? What are you going to do then? Life's about self-reliance. If you're relying on something else, you're an addict. You know what I mean? We all pick our poison. But all in all, mate, if you want to cut your dick off, that's your choice. I don't really give a shit, really. It's your decision. I do, but I don't. Like, it's your decision. I'm not judging you. Please don't make that misconception. I am not judging you. I feel your pain. Sometimes I want to project my consciousness into animals, but I'm yet to discover the skill to be able to do that. I'd love to know what it feels like to be a fucking, swallow or something like that. Look at the way they fly. Wow. The reflexes, the synchronized movement, the subconscious communication. So my point is, like another thing, all this rubbish that's going around, these ideologies that are to do with like warped forms of self-expression and what I consider to be, I don't necessarily agree with the idea that pride is a sin, because pride has a spectrum. However, the pride that you often encounter in these gay pride groups is a delusion. It's like that isn't the good form of pride, to be honest. What am I proud of the fact that I'm heterosexual? Why? That's just my nature. Why are you proud of that? If you're gay, I don't give a shit. Do it. It doesn't matter to me. We don't start rubbing it in people's faces as if it's some sort of achievement. What? Like, okay. It's fucking ridiculous. And I understand where it comes from, right? And this is sometimes the reason people join religions. It's to be part of a community and feel like you belong somewhere. But if that community is built on nothing that actually encapsulates true virtue, then what's the point? What are you doing? That's no community. That's a fucking loony bin, mate. So you better buckle up. I've made perfect sense here. So if anybody gets in there, this gets views, and anybody fucking comes in comments with some loudmouth rubbish, you're a fucking twat, mate, and you need to open your eyes. Just because you don't like something doesn't mean it's not right. Say this once and I'll say it again. Usually the one who tells the truth is the one who gets shit off the people who don't have the courage to accept it as the truth. Funny thing is about me, I actually like being proven wrong a lot of the time. Sometimes not. I'm not fucking Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? But I like being proven wrong. Because if you get proven wrong, it's an alignment process and then you're right. You get it? You create a relationship with that, you're going to get better every time you get proven wrong. So you've not really been proven wrong. You've been transformed. Same concept as I was talking about before, adaptability. And when it comes to belief, the arrogance to assume that your conceptions are aligned, even if your religion revolves around truth, that everything's subjective and it's an interpretation based on your perception. So if you have the arrogance to assume that your mental conceptions are entirely in order, then you're an idiot. And I know I'm not right about everything. It's about the process. I intend to learn. And I want to know, to get one up on the universe.